Hello and welcome back to English Made Easy. It's so good to have you here with me today. Our goal on this channel, as always, is to make learning English simple, fun, and really useful. We want to help you study English in the simplest way possible, breaking down the difficult parts so you can feel confident. Today, we're talking about something that affects every student, no matter what you're learning. It's the feeling that you are studying for hours and hours, but you're not making any progress. You sit at your desk, you read the book, you write the notes, but when the test comes, your mind feels empty. Our topic for today's video is this: more hours doesn't always mean more progress. We're going to explore how to study smarter, not harder. Along the way, we're going to learn some fantastic, powerful new English words. We'll look at advanced vocabulary. Now, I know these words might sound big and a little scary, but I promise you they are incredibly helpful. Knowing them will not only make you sound smarter in English, but they will help you think in a new way. They give you the language to describe exactly how you can improve your own learning. Now, by the end of our time, you will understand exactly how to use these words and their synonyms. You'll know when to use them, and you'll see how you can apply the ideas they represent to your everyday life, not just your studies. And remember, I want you to repeat after me. Practice the sound, even if you are just whispering to yourself. I'll speak with the natural rhythm of a native speaker so you can get used to the music of the language. Let's begin. Before we learn the smart way to study, we have to be honest about the hard way. I think you know what I'm talking about. It's that culture of the grind. The belief that if you just suffer a little more, stay up a little later, drink one more cup of coffee, you will magically succeed. It's the night before a big exam. The textbook is a mountain in front of you. You have hundreds of pages to review. So you start on page 1 with a bright yellow highlighter and you begin to read. Every sentence seems important. You highlight it. 3 hours later, your eyes are blurry, your head hurts, and every page in your book is a sea of yellow. You feel like you've worked hard, but if I asked you to explain the main idea of Chapter 2, you'd probably struggle. This habit, the habit of cramming, is incredibly common, but it's also incredibly damaging. It's a pernicious habit. Let's pause on that word, pernicious. Say it with me. Per-ni-shis, pernicious. The stress is on the second syllable, ni, pernicious. Pernicious means having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way. It's not like a sudden explosion, it's like a slow poison. Think of a small leak in a boat. At first, you don't notice it, but slowly, over time, it fills the boat with water until it sinks. That's a pernicious problem. Cramming is a pernicious study habit. It feels like you're doing something productive, but slowly it's sinking your chances of actually learning. A synonym for pernicious could be harmful or damaging, but pernicious is more elegant. It suggests a hidden, creeping danger. You could say, the spread of misinformation online has a pernicious effect on society. In our context, you might realize, my belief that I have to study for 10 hours straight was pernicious. It was just burning me out. The reason this method doesn't work is because it fights against our brains. Our brains are not designed to be force-fed huge amounts of information in a short time and then expect it to keep it. That's not learning. That's just temporary data storage, and the data gets deleted very quickly. So, what's the alternative? The first SMART technique is called spaced repetition. Its purpose is simple: to work with your brain's natural memory system, not against it. It is the complete opposite of cramming. It's designed for long-term retention of information. And here's our next keyword: retention. Let's say it together. Retention. Retention. The stress is on the 10 syllable. Re-ten-shun. Retention. Retention simply means the ability to keep or hold something. In the context of learning, it means your ability to keep information in your memory. If you have good retention, you remember things for a long time. If you have poor retention, information disappears from your mind quickly. A simple synonym is memory or recall. You could say, after using this new method, my vocabulary retention has improved so much. Or a company might talk about customer retention, which means keeping their customers loyal. The whole goal of studying should be long-term retention, not short-term memorization, and spaced repetition is the most powerful tool for this. The idea behind it comes from a psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus. He discovered something called the forgetting curve. It sounds a bit sad, but it's just a natural fact. When you learn something new, your brain starts to forget it almost immediately. Within a day, you might have forgotten more than half of it. A week later, it's almost all gone. Your memory of it is ephemeral. Let's look at that beautiful word. Ephemeral. Ephemeral. Stress on the second syllable, fem. Ephemeral. Ephemeral means lasting for a very short time. Think of a flower that blooms for only one day, or a beautiful sunset that fades in minutes. Those things are ephemeral. The knowledge you gain from cramming is ephemeral. It's there for the test, and then it vanishes. A good synonym is fleeting or short-lived. You might say, the joy of winning the lottery was ephemeral as he quickly spent all the money. In our case, cramming gives you an ephemeral feeling of confidence, but it doesn't last. Spaced repetition is the cure for the forgetting curve. It works by interrupting the process of forgetting. Just when your brain is about to forget a piece of information, you show it to your brain again. This action tells your brain, hey, this is important. Don't delete this. Each time you do this, the memory gets stronger, and the time it takes for you to forget it gets longer. So, how do you actually do this? Let's break it down step by step. First, the preparation. This is where you create your materials. The most common way is with flashcards. You can use physical paper cards or a digital app like Inky or Quizlet. On one side of the card, you write a question or a word. On the other side, you write the answer or the definition. For example, on one side you write pernicious. On the other side you write having a harmful effect in a subtle way. Pernicious. Next, the introduction. This is your first learning session. Go through your stack of new flashcards. Read the question, try to guess the answer, then flip it over. Do this for all your new words or concepts. Don't worry about memorizing them perfectly right now. You are just introducing the information to your brain. Then comes the most important part, the execution. This is the spaced part of spaced repetition. You don't look at all the cards every day. You review them at specific increasing intervals. A simple schedule could look like this. Review 1, 1 day after the first session. Review 2, 3 days after the last review. Review 3, a week after the last review. Review 4, 2 weeks after the last review, and so on. When you review, you separate the cards into two piles: the ones you remembered easily and the ones you struggled with. The easy cards can wait longer for their next review. The hard cards need to be reviewed sooner, maybe the very next day. This way, you spend your time focusing on what you don't know, not wasting time on what you already do. Finally, the wrap-up. As you consistently get a card right over several spaced sessions, you can graduate it. This means you know it so well that you only need to review it once a month or even less. The goal is to move all your cards into this long-term memory pile. Let's imagine a student. Let's call her Maria. Before, for her biology test, Maria would spend the entire night before the exam reading 100 pages. She would feel exhausted and stressed. She might pass the test, but a week later, she couldn't tell you the difference between mitosis and meiosis. Her knowledge was ephemeral. Now Maria uses spaced repetition. 3 weeks before the test, she starts making flashcards for the key concepts as she learns them in class. Each day, she spends just 15 to 20 minutes reviewing her cards using a digital up. Some concepts she reviews today, some in 3 days, some in a week. The night before the exam, she does a final quick review. She feels calm. She sleeps well. She not only aces the test, but a month later, she can still explain the concepts clearly to a friend. She has achieved long-term retention. The main advantage of this is obvious. It's incredibly effective for memory. But there are challenges. It requires you to be organized and consistent. You can't just decide to do it the night before. It's a long-term strategy. The biggest tip for success is to make it a habit. Just like brushing your teeth. Spend 15 minutes on it every single day. Don't see it as a huge study session. See it as a small, daily brain exercise. This method transforms studying from a painful short-term panic into a calm, continuous, and successful process. So you're using spaced repetition to remember things for the long term. That's great. But what about the study sessions themselves? How do you make sure that the 30 minutes or 1 hour you spend studying is actually productive? You can sit at your desk for 3 hours, but if your mind is wandering, if you're checking your phone every 5 minutes, you're not really studying. This brings us to our second technique, which is all about managing your focus. It's often called the Pomodoro technique. Its purpose is to help you work in focused, energetic bursts, preventing mental burnout and making your study time more efficient. Let's break down that word, efficiency. Say it with me. E-fi-shen-si. The stress is on the second syllable, fi. Efficiency. Efficiency means achieving a goal with the least amount of wasted time, energy, or resources. Imagine two people are asked to fill a bucket with water from a river. The first person uses a cup. They walk back and forth 100 times. It takes them an hour. The second person uses a large bucket. They walk once, and the job is done in 5 minutes. The second person was far more efficient. A simple synonym is productiveness. When you are efficient, you get more done in less time. We all want to have more efficiency in our work and studies. You might say, using keyboard shortcuts has greatly improved my efficiency when writing emails. The Pomodoro technique is designed to maximize your efficiency by working with your brain's natural rhythm. The theory behind it is that the human brain can't maintain intense focus for hours on end. It works best in shorter sprints. After a period of focus, it needs a short break to rest and consolidate what it just learned. Pushing through for hours without breaks is like trying to sprint a marathon. You'll just burn out. Breaks are not a sign of laziness. They are a necessary part of a smart process. Here's the step-by-step procedure. It is beautifully simple. First, preparation. Choose one task you want to work on, just one. For example, read chapter 5 of my history book, or complete 10 math problems. Then, find a timer. You can use your phone, a kitchen timer, or a website. Set it for 25 minutes. This 25-minute period is your Pomodoro. The final and most important part of preparation: eliminate all distractions. Put your phone in another room. Close all the unnecessary tabs on your computer. Tell your family you need 25 minutes of quiet time. You need to create an environment that is conducive to focus. Let's quickly look at that word. Conducive. Con-do-sive. Conducive. The stress is on the do syllable. Conducive. If something is conducive to something else, it means it provides the right conditions for it to happen. It makes it easier. For example, a quiet library is conducive to studying. A messy, loud room is not conducive to studying. A synonym could be helpful or favorable. You could say regular exercise and a healthy diet are conducive to a long life. Or the friendly atmosphere in this company is conducive to creativity. Creating a distraction-free space is conducive to deep focus. Okay, back to the steps. After preparation, you have the introduction. This is a mental step. You look at your task and you make a small promise to yourself. For the next 25 minutes, I will only work on this one thing. I will not get distracted. Next is execution. Start the timer and work. Immerse yourself completely in the task. If a distracting thought comes into your head, like, oh, I need to reply to that email, quickly write it down on a piece of paper and go straight back to your task. The rule is the 25 minutes is sacred. It cannot be interrupted. When the timer rings, you stop. Even if you are in the middle of a sentence, you stop. This is the wrap-up of your Pomodoro. You immediately take a 5-minute break. During this break, you must get away from your desk. Stretch, get a glass of water, look out the window. The crucial rule is to do nothing that is mentally taxing. Don't check your email or social media. That's not a real break for your brain. After your 5-minute break, you set the timer for another 25 minutes and start again. You repeat this cycle. After you complete 4 Pomodoros, that's about 2 hours of work, you take a longer break, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Let's see this in action. Imagine a student named Ben. Before, Ben would try to study for his chemistry exam by sitting down for a 4-hour marathon session. In reality, in those 4 hours, he'd check his phone 20 times, watch a few YouTube videos, stare out the window, and feel increasingly tired and unproductive. His process was suboptimal. Let's define that. Suboptimal. Sub-op-ti-mal. Suboptimal. The main stress is on op. Suboptimal. Suboptimal simply means less than the highest standard or quality. It's a formal way of saying something is not as good as it could be. If your old phone has a very slow internet connection, you could say its performance is suboptimal. Ben's study method was suboptimal. He was at his desk for 4 hours, but maybe only got 90 minutes of real work done. Now, Ben uses the Pomodoro technique. He works for 25 minutes with intense focus, takes a 5-minute break, and repeats. In the same 4 hours, he completes 6 full Pomodoros. That's 150 minutes of pure, focused work, with breaks in between to keep his mind fresh. He finishes feeling energized, not drained, and he has learned much more. He has moved from a suboptimal process to an optimized one. And this is our next big word. Optimization. 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 The stress is on the zay syllable. Optimization. Optimization is the process of making something as effective, perfect, or useful as it can be. It's about taking a good system and making it great. Think about a race car. The engineers are constantly making small changes to the engine, the tires, the shape of the car, all to make it go a tiny bit faster. That is optimization. A synonym could be improvement or refinement. You didn't just study. You performed an optimization of your study process. You might hear in business, we are focused on the optimization of our supply chain to reduce costs. The advantage of the Pomodoro technique is that it turns a huge, scary task into a series of small, manageable steps.
Write a 10-page essay is terrifying, but work on my essay for 25 minutes is easy. It helps you get started. The main challenge is self-discipline. The urge to check your phone during the 25 minutes or to continue working through your break can be strong. You have to respect the timer. A tip for success? Be flexible. If 25 minutes feels too short, try 40 minutes. If 5 minutes is not enough for a break, take 10 minutes. Experiment and find the rhythm that works for you. The numbers are not magic. The principle is a focused sprint followed by a real rest. That is the key to efficiency and optimization.
So, you are using spaced repetition to build long-term memory and the Pomodoro technique to stay focused during your study sessions. You are working smart. But there is one more level to this. What are you actually choosing to study? You could be the most efficient student in the world with perfect focus and memory, but if you are focusing on the wrong information, you are still wasting your time. Imagine a gold miner who is incredibly skilled at digging. He has the best tools, he works very hard, but he's digging in a place where there is no gold. All his effort is for nothing. The final technique is about learning where to dig. It's about identifying the most important, high yield content. This is the skill of prioritization. Let's say it. Prioritization. Prioritization. It's a long one. The main stress is on ze. Prioritization. Prioritization. Prioritization is the act of deciding which tasks or items are the most important so you can deal with them first. Every day, you have a list of things to do. You can't do them all at once. Prioritization is looking at that list and saying, this one is the most critical. I will do it now. This other one can wait until tomorrow. A simpler way to say it is ranking or deciding what's most important. A good manager is skilled at prioritization. They know what the team needs to focus on to achieve its goals. You could say, with so many projects, effective prioritization is essential for our success. The core idea here is often called the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle. It's the observation that in many situations, roughly 80% of the results come from only 20% of the effort. For example, a company might find that 80% of its sales come from 20% of its customers. In your studies, it means that 80% of what you will be tested on will likely come from just 20% of the material in your textbook. Your job as a smart student is to find that 20%. The rest is just detail. Trying to learn every single detail with equal importance is a recipe for failure. It's like being a meticulous artist, painting every single leaf on every tree in a giant forest. Let's look at that word, meticulous. Me-tic-you-lus. Meticulous. The stress is on the second syllable, tic. Metic-you-lus. To be meticulous is to be very careful and to pay attention to every detail. It can be a very good quality. A surgeon, for example, must be meticulous. But in studying, being too meticulous about unimportant things can be a trap. A synonym is thorough or painstaking. You might say, she was meticulous in her preparation for the presentation, checking every fact twice. But you could also say, he wasted the whole day being meticulous about the fonts on his report instead of focusing on the content. So, how do you find the 20% of gold and avoid being too meticulous about the 80% of dirt? The preparation step is all about investigation. You become a detective. Look at past exams if you can. What kinds of questions are asked? Are they about big concepts or tiny details? Listen carefully in class. When your teacher says, this is a very important point, or make sure you understand this concept, they are basically shining a light on the 20%.
The introduction is a mindset shift. You must accept that not all information is created equal. You must give yourself permission to not master every single sentence in the book. Your goal is not to become a walking encyclopedia. Your goal is to understand the core principles. The execution is about how you spend your study time. You actively seek out and focus on that 20%. This means you should spend most of your energy on the main ideas presented at the beginning or end of a chapter, the concepts your teacher spends the most time on, the topics that appear again and again throughout the course, the fundamental formulas or theories that everything else is built on. You make your flashcards for these things first. You use your Pomodoro sessions on these things first. You elucidate these core concepts until they are crystal clear. Let's define that word. Elucidate. Elucidate. Stress on the lu syllable. Elucidate. To elucidate something means to make it clear and easy to understand. It's like turning on the light in a dark room. When a teacher explains a difficult idea using a simple example, they are elucidating the idea. A synonym is explain or clarify. You might ask a friend, "Could you elucidate that point for me? I didn't quite understand it." Your goal in studying the 20% is to elucidate those key ideas in your own mind. Let's go back to our history student example. Before, the student would try to memorize every single date, every general's name, every minor battle. He was being meticulous about the 80% of details. He felt overwhelmed and couldn't see the big picture. Now, he focuses on prioritization. He asks himself, what is the story of this chapter? He focuses on the causes of the war, the main turning points, and the long-term consequences. He learns a few key dates to give him a framework, but he doesn't stress about the rest. He has identified the 20% of information that tells 80% of the story. His understanding is deeper, his stress is lower, and his exam results are better. The great advantage of this is that it saves you an enormous amount of time and mental energy. It feels like a superpower. The challenge, however, is fear. You might worry, what if that tiny detail I skipped is on the test? It might be, but it's unlikely to be the most important question. You have to trust the process and be confident in your ability to identify what truly matters. A tip for success is to actively ask questions. At the end of a lesson, ask your teacher, to make sure I'm on the right track, would you say the main takeaway from today is X? This not only confirms your understanding, but also helps you practice prioritization. It takes courage to ignore the small stuff, but it's the only way to truly master the big ideas.
We've talked about these powerful techniques: spaced repetition for memory, the Pomodoro technique for focus, prioritization for finding what matters. These are the tools for studying smarter. But underneath all of these techniques, there's a deeper question you have to ask yourself. It's a question about what you value. Do you value effort or do you value results? Our society often praises effort. We celebrate the person who works 16-hour days. We romanticize the image of the hustler who never sleeps. We are told that hard work is the most important thing. And hard work is important, but effort is not the goal. Understanding is the goal. Progress is the goal. You can spend 10 hours highlighting a textbook. That is a lot of effort. But if you don't understand the material at the end, what was the point of that effort? You feel tired, but you don't know why. You feel like you deserve a good grade because you suffered for it. But the world, your exams, your future job, they don't reward suffering. They reward results. They reward understanding. Shifting your mindset from "I need to put in more hours" to
I need to find a more effective process is the single biggest change you can make. It's about being honest with yourself. Is this method I'm using actually working? Is it leading to retention and understanding, or is it just making me feel busy? This isn't about being lazy, it's the opposite. It's about respecting your own time and energy so much that you refuse to waste it on activities that don't produce real learning. It's about being the efficient scientist of your own education, constantly running experiments to find what works best for you. It's about optimization, not just of your study schedule, but of your entire philosophy of learning. What do you measure at the end of the day? The clock on the wall or the new connections in your brain? Stop rewarding your exhaustion and start celebrating your understanding. What do you think? Do you agree with these points? Do you find yourself valuing the hours you put in more than the results you get? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below so we can all learn from each other. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you found this helpful. Try to make listening to English a small part of your daily routine. The more you listen, the faster you'll improve. I'll see you in the next one.